intelligent viewers on YouTube have started to realize that Reggie Wright Jr. has been telling lies, and they're moving away from it. Also, Daz Dillinger, I have proof that he was telling the truth in regards to the bankruptcy, not because Daz said so, but because the judge said so, as well as the trustee. And last but not least, you know what? Let's just get into some of this straight game.
Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. It's greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell a friend. But most importantly, if you're new to the channel and you would like to be notified when I drop some of this straight game, do me a favor and hit the bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I must address this based on the fact that Reggie Wright Jr. has made another feeble attempt to try to assassinate my character, as well as the content that I've put up based on the truth and the facts backed by evidence, right? And Reggie Wright and Gullible John over at Bomb First have not presented not one scintilla of evidence to back up what they're saying, right? And I want to get into it like this. So recently I did a succession of videos with multi-platinum producer, West Coast legend, one half of the Dog Pound, Daz Dillinger, right? And in those interviews, or should say in that interview, Daz had talked about the situation involving why he sued Suge Knight and so on and so forth, right? And so Reggie Wright Jr. made a feeble attempt, once again, to try to overshadow the truth with his blatant outright lies. And I'm going to show you where that is, and you understand what I'm about to tell you. You're going to understand, like, you're going to say, okay, I get it now. So Reggie Wright Jr. Made an attempt to say that somehow, some way now, that Snoop had just and Harry O just bought Death Row. Somehow, some way, by the video that me and Daz had just did, we made an admission that's going to somehow get him paid from a publishing company that he alleges that he owned, right? What I'm here to tell you today, ladies and gentlemen, Reggie Wright does not own Simon Says Publishing. And I want you to understand this. He said up until this point, he's not been paid $1 from this publishing company. I don't know all of the other intricacies of his alleged theft, like I said, but I'm going to deal with this publishing situation. So all of the time that Wide Awake owned Death Row, that E1 owned Death Row, Reggie Wright, by his own admission, admits that he was never paid through this so-called Simon Says Publishing, correct? By his own admission in this video. Now, but all of a sudden, we come out, myself and Daz, and I conduct an interview with him. And now he alleges that somehow by what we said, and Daz telling the truth about Reggie setting up bogus publishing companies in regards to Daz's music and so on and so forth, that now he's about to get paid. He didn't get paid from E1. He didn't get paid from Wide Awake, right? But now that Snoop owns it, he's about to get paid. Let me tell you why that's a lie. First and foremost, Daz said in the video with me, basically, that when he sued Suge Knight, right, and he explained, and I had asked him, to explain why he did that, right?
Like, I'm the only one out of Death Row Records that sued Suge Knight. Everybody else didn't sue him. So when I sued him, all my contracts was voided.
And hold on, Daz. So now, when you say when you sued him, all your contracts was voided. Explain that. So why did you sue him? Why did you sue Suge Knight? What spawned your lawsuit when you first sued him? What made you say, yo, I got to file a lawsuit?
To get out of the contracts, royalties, and just all the default shit that they was getting into. You know what I'm saying? The people that I had, So.
Daz explained that he sued Suge for his royalties, for all of the other things that he felt like that was had gone wrong, and the things that weren't being honored in reference to his contract, right? And so he sued Suge. And so in suing Suge, with involving his original contract, anything that's derived from that contract, any agreement that's associated or based on that original agreement, right, would be voided out. And you say, why? Because Daz won that lawsuit based on the fact that Suge Knight did not show up for court. That is called, ladies and gentlemen, a default judgment, right? And through that default judgment, right, Daz would now, all of the contracts or any contract in relation to Daz would have been voided out. He won the case. Nobody showed up to basically try to defend the other side, which would have been Death Row or Suge Knight, right? So now, the alleged agreement that Reggie Wright says that he owns and controls, that he has not shown us, he said a lot about it, shows a lot of other stuff in regards to what people have alleged and got going on in their life, but he has not shown us the paperwork in regards to this Simon Says Publishing. The reason why is because his name's not on it. He doesn't own it. Because if he did, he would show it to us, which he hasn't. Therefore, you know, as well as I know, that if E1 didn't pay him based on that, by his own admission, and Wide Awake didn't pay him on that, by his own admission, the contract has been voided out. And that's why he can't get any income from this alleged publishing company that he says that he owns, based on the default judgment that Daz received in dealing with Suge. Period. Reggie Wright Jr. once again has lied to you about that. If he's not lying, he would show us the agreement. If he's not lying, he could show us the information that he's talking about, because if I own a publishing company and there's this documentation, don't you think that you would have that somewhere filed away in a file cabinet somewhere so that you can produce this information, right? Produce that information. Remember, I said I had proof that Daz was telling the truth in regards to the malfeasance and the fraud that was going on in the bankruptcy case? Check this out. In its June 2006 motion to appoint a Chapter 11 trustee, the United States trustee cited compelling evidence why Suge Knight should be removed from management control over Death Row. Recall that Knight was jailed several times between 1996 and 2004 and could not have effectively managed Death Row in his absence. While this occurred pre-petition, Knight acknowledged during the initial Debtors 341A hearing in May that he had not reviewed financial statements for Death Row in over a decade. Further, a significant number of Death Row's creditors are judgment creditors, including Ms. Harris, Lydia Harris, and the IRS. The U.S. trustee also alleged undisclosed insider payments by death row tonight and omissions of false statements in the bankruptcy petition schedules. I'm going to say that again. The U.S. trustee also alleged undisclosed insider payments by death row tonight and omissions and false statements in the bankruptcy petition schedules. That means that when they file the schedules to the court, to the bankruptcy, and the things that they admitted into court, the trustee basically found out that they were lying. And they were leaving out stuff and making payments to Suge Knight that shouldn't have been paid, and they didn't reveal everything in regards to the bankruptcy. Listen to me, y'all. Given that Suge Knight is the sole owner, officer, and director with any authority at death row, not Reggie Wright Jr., so he wouldn't be sued for his house if the trustee found out anything, because he was not part of the death row and even admitted that he had put himself on as a creditor in the bankruptcy. You understand what I'm saying? He said he put himself on as a creditor in the bankruptcy. It had nothing to do with Reggie, and they wouldn't be trying to take his house in regards to the trustee finding anything nefarious going on in regards to death row. He did not have that much involvement. He was not that important to this case. So I'm gonna start it off again. Given that Suge Knight is the sole owner, officer, director with any authority at death row, and in the light of evidence pointing to his financial mismanagement, dishonesty, and past failure to comply with court orders, Judge Carroll, not Daz Dillinger, not DELRAY, Judge Carroll signed the order to appoint a trustee on July 7th, 2006. Trustee Todd Nielsen, appointed on July 19th, is now the de facto CEO of Death Row, responsible for the management of its property for the benefit of its creditors, meaning all of the stuff would be sold, as we've seen, the masters, the property, and everything else involving that, right? And he was also in charge of the operations of the business and, if appropriate, filing a plan of reorganization. This last part really helps you understand and brings it home. Listen, the value of Death Row's assets have not been adequately determined, but are shadowed by its $100 million plus debts. Should Mr. Nielsen determine that rehabilitation is simply not feasible, Suge Knight's effort to save his company from receivership by entering bankruptcy may be worthless. And that proved to be the point, as we see now Snoop now and Harry O now own Death Row Records. How ironic. Hard to imagine 15 years ago that Death Row, the center of gangster rap, the center of the gangster rap revolution, would one day be run by an accountant. Y'all see what I'm saying? Let me get into this. Now, number two, this is funny. Reggie Wright made a feeble attempt, right? So he's lying about number one. Number two, he made a feeble attempt to show a documentation involving a Chapter 13 plan that I had filed for in dealing with my business, right? And I want you to understand something. What I filed was a boss move, right? Because with a Chapter 13 plan, you don't liquidate your assets. You still have to pay your debtors. You still have to pay your bills. But it's a restructuring process, right? And so that when you come out of it stronger than you went in. Let me give you an example. Remember 50 Cent got sued by, I think it was Rick Ross's baby mama or something like that. And she won $7 million, correct? Right? And 50 Cent, immediately after that judgment came down, 50 Cent filed for bankruptcy. Now, we know by all intentions and purposes, and 50, if you ever watch this, just using it as an example, we know 50 was not broke, right? 50 filed bankruptcy based on the fact to protect his publishing from his songs, to protect his assets that judgment that she received could be attached to derive money out of, right? So it basically says that, oh yeah, you have a judgment, but you won't be getting paid now. You will be getting paid basically pennies on the dollar. That's a boss move. That's not a bum move. Chapter 7, on the other hand, or a chapter 11 that then turns into a chapter 7, like what happened with Death Row, is when then you have to go and liquidate all of your assets because you have no money coming in to be able to pay the creditors. And so now you have to sell everything to pay off the creditors. Remember, Lydia Harris and Michael Harris obtained a judgment for $107 million against Death Row. That drove them, Death Row, into bankruptcy. Death Row wasn't making that kind of money where they could periodically pay on that through the bankruptcy. So now it basically converts into a chapter 7, and where you have to sell everything, and that money then and there goes to all of the creditors and the people that you owe in pennies on the dollar, right? So Reggie Wright, nice try. I make boss moves. I don't make bum moves. You understand? Coming out stronger than I went in. Absolutely. So that's part of my testimony, not something that I'm ashamed of. Believe me, you know. And so now I'm going to deal with this other part that's in this video, in where Reggie Wright once again tries to manipulate you with the shenanigans and the garbage and the lies, right? To get you to believe what you know to be in your best interest as the truth. Right? Gullible John. Gullible John, Reggie calls on him because Reggie couldn't articulate what it is and how I became a platinum songwriter and why I say that in the beginning of my videos, right? Mechanical licenses, I have those to back these plaques up. Copyright papers, I have those to back these plaques up, right? Royalty checks, I have those to back these plaques up. And I've already made a video about that if you want to check the other videos. But I'm just going to get into this briefly. Gullible John, his gullible partner who believes in everything that Reggie says, presented a check. And I want to thank you, Gullible John. I appreciate that. But once again, it confirms what Daz was saying in the video, in the interview that he did with me, was actually true. Remember, Daz says, oh.
Do you have any contracts of yours that he signed?
He didn't never sign that. Everything that he did was a stamp.
Okay.
It had Suge Knight name on there. You just hit the button.
Okay. Yeah, because that's what he said Michelle A was doing. He said Michelle A had the stamp and he would go to her based on the fact that he would go see Suge and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to clear that up because you was there and you got a lot of checks from Death Row, huh?
He had a duplicate.
Yes,
he was doing this shit and signing his own check. Reggie Wright's a big ass thief. He's been stealing from the get-go.
Look at the check. There's Suge Knight's signature, right? And it's been stamped in. Thank you, Gullible John. I appreciate you confirming that what we were talking about actually, or what Daz had admitted to, was actually the truth. Right? So that's another truth exposed against the lies that Reggie has been pushing, that he was in charge of Death Row. Daz did not say that you ran Death Row. Daz actually agreed to what I was saying in regards to you were a middleman liaison, right? And actually he said that Michelle A ran Death Row. That's actually what he said. And people are going to see that once they, come to my channel and really get these facts versus the lies that you've been telling, right? So now, with that one being exposed, or should I say that lie being decimated, if you will, with the truth, thanks again, Gullible John, my man. I'm going to get into this last part in regards to him saying, trying to figure out or mention about me being a platinum songwriter, right? they tried to, what should I say? They attempted to try to explain how it is that I got these plaques on my wall and I became who I am, what I am. I'm going to tell you shortly this. The song was actually my song, and Grandmaster Melly Mel from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 before Tupac was even on it, before Spice One was even on it. And I have the copyright papers to prove that fact. That's how I got it. I won't even get into anything else in regards to that. But I'll tell you, before Tupac even performed on it, it was my song. Facts. So when they tried to tell you something in regards to my business, they've been digging and digging and digging, and they go back and they go to a Chapter 13 plan that I had, which is a boss move. Yeah, they was trying to take my royalties. They was trying to attach things to my royalties, and I'm not having it. Just like 50 Cent wasn't having it. You understand what I'm saying? So you do what you need to do, because you can do that because you still have income coming in to be able to adhere to the plan, the Chapter 13 plan, and then come out that joint blazing. Credit score 800. Facts. And I'll put anything up to anything you saying that I can prove that. Let me know, because I can prove it. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get you to understand is I've been bringing you nothing but factual information. And like I said, I can't co-sign or should I say agree with or deny to agree with when I bring a brother like Daz on. Daz's work speak for itself. Daz's work speak for itself. Y'all dance to it, bob your head to it each and every day. Reggie Wright has not wrote a song, made a beat. All he has done is try to attach himself to the legacy of Death Row when he was only a security guard, and a failed one at that. Once again, I told you, yes, he was fired. He knew about it. August 27th, 1996, the paperwork. Here it is. Yes, he failed Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight in Vegas. He pulled the security off of Tupac. Suge said it out of his own mouth.
It was a plan already to do something to him. Yeah. And that's why, like I said, I had two of the toughest guys for him, and Reggie pulled them off of me. And after it happened, I told him to send 5 guys from the club to there, and they never said nobody.
These are facts, y'all. Right? Then he tries to make an attempt to say that somehow he was there for Tupac and Suge. Not according to the guy who you said had you running Death Row. Come on, Reg, we gonna run this. No, Suge didn't say that. Suge said, do what Miss Chalet say and bring everything to Miss Chalet. That's what he said. And it's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You were still involved, but you didn't run it. Suge ran it. As proof that Suge ran it, right? That check that John showed with that stamp on it, that Miss Chalet stamped. Right? Yeah. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.